Last week, my friend Sam and I met up for lunch. And over burgers and fries, we both confessed pretty much simultaneously how out of shape we had gotten in the past year. I definitely have put on the quarantine 15 and then some. Sam has a membership to a fancy sport and health club in Bethesda. So unlike me, he has no excuse for being out of shape. He's had his membership there for years, but rarely goes. When I asked him why he doesn't just cancel his membership, Sam said this: "I'm hoping to go back one day." I'm hoping to go back one day, meaning the desire is not completely gone, but it's not strong enough to get me there. And I have no real plan to make it happen. I know Sam's not alone in this. Maybe you can relate. You keep paying dues or renewing streaming subscriptions to things that you no longer use. You tell yourself, I might go back, or maybe I'll use this one day. It's easier than admitting I'm never going back to the gym, or I no longer need this in my life. This is week 2 of our message series titled Go. The church's celebrations this month tell us to go and build Christ's kingdom. We just heard Jesus tell his apostles this before he ascended to heaven. He commanded them to go into the whole world and preach the gospel to every creature. It's a command for us too. But how exactly do we do that? Well, in this series, starting today, I will give you one step to take each week to make this happen. Last week, if you remember, we laid the foundation. I challenged you to be a credible witness of Christ's love and joy to the people in your life. Because every day God presents us with opportunities to share our faith, to invite others to experience what we've found, the difference that being a follower of Jesus can make in a person's life. But before you can do that, it's important to figure out what exactly you are inviting someone to consider. Because unlike a gym membership or a streaming subscription, following Jesus can't be an on-again, off-again commitment. It's not something you cancel or discontinue. It's all day, every day. It's all or nothing. And the readings today made this clear. So let's turn to the readings now. Now let me give you some background on the Ascension. In the 40 days leading up to the event, I think it's fair to say that the disciples were on an emotional roller coaster. I mean, they went from this deep, dark hole on Good Friday, the day Jesus was killed, to joy beyond belief when he rose from the dead on Easter. For 7 weeks after he rose, Christ appeared to his followers. And in those encounters, he gave them peace and hope and reassurance so they could keep his mission alive. He also gave them their next steps, which all began with the command to go. Go love, go share, go witness, go heal and forgive, go make disciples. And they did. Where exactly did they go? Well, in Matthew's gospel, the apostles first went to Galilee. Luke and John write that they went back to Jerusalem. And this is significant. What it says to me is the disciples began sharing the good news with people they knew. Galilee was their home. So they preached to people they knew and who knew them, their family and friends and neighbors. The same would have been true in Jerusalem. I can picture them striking up conversations with those they'd come to know in the city, shopkeepers, merchants, and acquaintances. At his ascension, Jesus commanded them to go, So they naturally went first to people they felt comfortable with. Not exclusively, they also preached to strangers, but even within the crowds were people they had things in common with, like religion and culture and class. So the apostles first preached the good news to individuals they had some familiarity and comfort with, which created an opening for their message to be heard and received. This is such an important point for us that I want to repeat it. They preached the good news to individuals they had some familiarity and comfort with, which created an opening for their message to be heard and received. And because there was that familiarity and comfort and an opening, people would have listened because they decided, I know him, I like him, I trust him. Let me hear what he has to say. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because the command Jesus gave his followers at the Ascension to go and make disciples is also meant for you. And Jesus isn't telling you to travel to the other side of the world to do this. Your step one begins with those you know who also know you. 8 years ago at St. Pius, the parish staff created a vision statement. It expresses why we exist as a church. Last month we updated it to reflect our new reality. Here it is. To form disciples in and beyond Bowie who joyfully live out the mission of Jesus Christ. The phrase, "and beyond Bowie," is the updated part. Why the change? When we began our online worship last March, we soon found that we had people praying with us from all over the world. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. People from different states, but also from the Philippines, from the UK, from Austria, and South America. Our vision became a closer reality due to the pandemic. And if you're worshiping online with us right now and live outside Bowie, use the chat feature to tell us where you are right now. But regardless of your location, forming disciples begins with those you know who also know you. The step I'm asking you to take today begins when you see yourself as a bridge. What do I mean by this? Well, a bridge is just a way for someone to get from here to there. If being a follower of Christ means making disciples by leading others to his kingdom, you can be that way. You can be a bridge that leads someone to Christ. Here's how you start to be a bridge for someone in your life. Begin by answering this question for yourself. Why am I here? Meaning, why do you worship with us? Why have you remained? What keeps you coming back? Is it a sense of obligation or routine? Is it a desire for community? Is it because the Mass nourishes you? Do you find comfort here and healing and hope? Does being here help you stay close to Jesus? Do you feel God's presence when you walk through our doors or worship online? You need to figure this out, because what brings you might also be the same thing that brings someone you know who is not yet here. Like you, they may be seeking community, a place that welcomes them, that acknowledges their hurt and pain, and offers comfort and healing and hope. Hopefully, they're seeking a relationship with God. When we began our parish renewal efforts in 2013, we gave names to those we hoped to reach. We lovingly refer to them as Bowie Bob and Bowie Barb. They are the de-churched and the unchurched people in our lives. Why did we make this a priority 8 years ago? In 2013, our parish was celebrating its 50th anniversary. As often happens with church anniversaries, we spent a lot of time looking back, remembering the good old days. But our anniversary was also about looking ahead to the future and imagining where we hoped to be 50 years forward. Like all the parishes in Bowie, we were experiencing a slow but steady decline in membership, so slow that we barely noticed it. But in fact, it was a 40% drop in weekend attendance from 2000 to 2008. Those parishioners didn't move away. They just stopped coming to church. They became de-churched. Wherever you live, we all know Bowie Bobs and Barbs. They're in our families, among our friends. They're in our workplaces and schools and neighborhoods. And if we are going to love them as Christ loves them, which means we love them unconditionally and sacrificially, we need to take risks and put ourselves out there by sharing our faith with them. And we must do this. It's a command from Christ to his disciples. And like at the first Ascension, it's the only way for the church to grow. So the step I'm asking you to take this week has two parts. I just described the first part, which is to answer the question, why are you here? What brings you back? Here's the second part. Name your Bowie Bob or Barb. Who is that person in your life who does not have a church home right now? Who do you know that might benefit from experiencing what you've discovered here? Who is it for you? Just come up with a name of a family member, a friend, coworker, classmate, or neighbor. Write it down and put it somewhere where you will see it, but keep it to yourself. And I'm not going to ask you for the name. This is just for you, to get clear about who Christ might be calling you to share your faith with. Next week, I will invite you to take the next step. Go make disciples. This Ascension of 2021, may we hear Christ calling us to be renewed in faith by sharing our faith with others. Amen.